I have a very large Kern link torsion pendulum where the top part has pins, brass pins, and the lower part should have screws. But I suppose it's easier if I tell you the story. I got a Kern link torsion clock, and because it was a bit too big for me to keep, because I didn't really have anywhere to put it, being 16 inches tall, I decided to put it into local auction. Well, they said it didn't sell because it never had a pendulum. Well, when I proved to them that it was totally complete, including pendulum and key, with photographic evidence, I got an apology and they agreed to pay for it. But I still have the clock and I didn't have a pendulum. Well, I've managed to find another pendulum, but instead of having screws at the bottom here, it had wood panel pins. It should have a 10BA screw in each of these things, but one of them was, the thread was knackered, so what I decided to do, instead of having 3 10BA and 1 9BA, I've drilled out and tapped for all 9BA, so they'll all be the same. So having to make 4 screws to suit. I've already made 3. This is the third one. I'm doing it on my Myford lathe. I need to turn this down to 1.7. Rather than use the ELS, I find if I set it all up like I have now, to give me the right length, I can just wind the compound back and get it exactly the same length every time. So I end up with 4 screws exactly the same. So the first thing we need to do is turn this down to 1.7. I have to turn the Rockatronic on, but press both things to turn the stepper motors off. The first thing I need to do is face it off. Only needs a little slither off there just to make sure it's nice and flat, and then turn it down to 1.7. Take it nice and gently because it's only, I think this is 4mm silver steel. I find it's nice and easy to blue once it's all polished up. I think I could do it with the ELS system without any bother, but I find it just as easy doing it like this. But so the ELS could do it on its own. Just set the parameters in the control box and leave it to it, but this gives me something to do rather than stand there watching. I could make them on the little Pultra, but I find I can do this sort of size no bother on the Myford, but the real small ones I do on the little Pultra. Measure when we get somewhere near. It's nice having it go to the stop, because that way you get nice flat on the screw, inside of the screw head. clean that up, bring it out, and then we'll have a measure. I think we're somewhere near, but not exactly there yet. I have to excuse my fingers being in the way. 2.1. With a small screw like this, you can't take too much of a bite in one go, because it will just bend the end and snap it off, and probably snap the blooming tool bit as well. Hopefully that's somewhere near. Oh, it might be a bit small actually. Yeah, done it too small. Well, that's a bit of a bind, isn't it? Okay, so I've done it again off camera. No point in you watching me do it twice, cocked it up once, so didn't really want to watch me cocking it up again, so I've done it off camera. Just got to clean it up a bit now. Next job is to put a jam in here. So much jamming up on my don't know what. Oh, right, okay. So we just want a little dab of threading compound. And then it's just a matter of running the tap down it. Because it's a very fine thread, it takes a while to cut down to the end, because it don't move much at a time. That's it. We'll get there in a minute. There we go. Let's give it a bit of a clean. Nice thread on there. Better bring that out a little bit, I suppose, to we've got to cut the head down now. The head is what's the head? 2.77. So I'll set the calipers up 2.77. Bring that back out, wind that back in. Yeah, and then it's just a matter of turning the head down. Check the head, it's probably somewhere near now. Not quite. Just makes a neater job if everything's, you know, the same size. I know they don't all sit next to each other, but still prefer it to look right. Yep, that will do nicely. Now it's just a matter of, I don't use a parting tool on something this small because I find it easier to saw it. And a little tip when you're sawing, might need to move the camera out a little bit, hang on. That's it. When you're sawing something off, don't put any pressure on with these little saws, just put a cut in it and then turn it a bit. If you do the cut all in one go, there's a lot higher chance of breaking the saw. I'm not saying you won't break the saw just putting a cut all the way around, but there is less chance. Don't know why. Haven't worked that one out yet. And then it's just a matter of putting a slot in, cleaning them up, polishing them and bluing them. Takes a bit of time cutting through silver steel with one of these little saws. And there we have a screw. Can't see it, can you? The head's a little bit long, so I've got to put it in the lathe and take it down a little bit, but I'll get it set up and we'll come back for that. Okay, now we're set up to trim the head down a little bit. Make sure it'll turn. Sorry about that if I bang the camera. Oh, I'd have if I turned it on, wouldn't it? think we need to tighten it up a bit more. A bit reluctant to tighten it too much because it might damage the thread, but it needs to be enough so it doesn't spin. Still spinning. That's the trouble with the collet I've got, is a 2, and this is only it's probably about 1.5ish now, so I think I'd be happier just doing that with a file before I put the slot in. This is how I blew screws. I washed them in denatured alcohol. If I want a really rich blue, I put them in brass filings, and so I could watch them turn blue, and I'd polish them a lot more, but most torsion clock screws are sort of a blue-black. So all I do is hold them in the flame until they turn and drop them straight in the oil. Takes a few seconds, and they match the original quite well. Quite easy to do. So as you can see, it takes just a few seconds. Not worried about the thread so much, as long as the heads are blue. Once they're been in the oil a minute or two, let's bring them out of the oil. And there we have a nice screw, nicely blue, but slightly blue-black. So they match the originals quite well. So I don't really do too much fussing around with them, but I just thought I'd show what I do. Very quick to do with these small screws. There's the finished pendulum, all back together, polished, lacquered, with the new screws. Back to how it should look, ready to go on the clock. Thank you very much. And here's the finished clock.